What's up, guys?
What's up?
Just want to kind of give you a quick little heads up. We did have a little bit of technical issues on this episode. New mix board, new equipment.
Trying to get phone calls to go through.
Yep, testing things out. So, bear with it. It's a really fucking awesome episode.
Yeah,
very interesting.
But every once in a while, we lose her call, and we call her right back. But it
just kind of happens.
It's a little annoying.
A handful of times.
More annoying
the
to
episode.
us than anything else. But.
Right. So, as Tomboy mentioned, turn it into a drinking game. If you're somewhere where you're listening, anytime that we,
lose the call, take a drink.
Yep, take a drink, and see how you feel at the end. Then you can text the show afterwards and say, I'm wasted.
Yeah.
By the time you're done.
Yeah. Make fun. Make it fun.
Yeah.
Leave us a voicemail. Tell us your enjoyment of this.
Yeah. Or you can send us texts or leave us a voicemail. Yeah. Like making fun of us for being shitty at our jobs, I guess.
Not even supposed to be here today.
Yeah. Anyways, enjoy, guys.
Yep.
Have fun.
Bye. Hey, that's us.
It is us.
Hey.
What up, everybody?
What's
How
going
goes
on,
it?
everybody?
Tomboy, what's shaking, my guy?
Oh, lovely days. Lovely days.
Oh, lovely days.
Lovely days.
Gotta love them.
What about you? Anything good?
Yeah, everything's good. I was just
good.
laughing because I was just...
I was like, you good?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was just laughing because, so, like through the program that we use for dumping all of our episodes, for kind of puts everything, we can look to see like
their data shit.
Yeah. So you'll show us like what kind of or what cities people are listening to or whatever.
Big Brother's watching you.
Always. Yeah. And I started laughing because when I was scrolling through it, there was one that said The Villages, Florida.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, what? We got somebody in The Villages that is listening to us?
Refresh me what The Villages.
The Villages from like the loofah thing we talked about.
Shit.
Like
The bang grannies ladies.
Yeah, like that. Yeah,
that's swinging retirement homes.
Right. Yeah, that's it. With all the old people like banging each other, and then they had like the different colored loofahs.
Yeah.
And so that's back like with Bagel.
And,
oh yeah. And I was like, oh my god, somebody in The Villages has listened to our episodes, and so I immediately scrolled down to that episode.
Has our friend Johnny moved to the Villages?
I don't know.
For Boca Raton to the Villages, or stopped by visit grandma. I was like, you got to hear this episode about.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that would be amazing. But I scrolled all the way to that episode.
Yeah.
And whoever's in The Villages did listen to that episode.
They're onto us. Gotta get rid of the loofahs.
No. Oh yeah. I was gonna say I want if they're I don't know if they're still listening or
you have to call in.
Yeah, because I haven't checked other episodes to see like what else they listen to. But yes, absolutely. If you are living in The Villages down in Florida,
or have a relative that lives in the village down in Florida,
yes, please text us or call us because we need to talk about this. 440-363-0121.
Nice.
But yeah, that was really exciting. I was like, oh my god, this rules so hard. But I was hoping that they would call.
That should be a call
or a text. Yeah. So hopefully, if they're still listening,
if they're still with us,
then we can set up a date. Yeah.
But that's okay.
Right. But that's amazing though, because we're on episode today aired today will be 107.
Yes, this episode is 107, and
that Florida episode was probably
like 10, 12.
Was it that
Maybe,
far back?
I don't know.
I feel like it was like 20s, 30s, somewhere.
20s, 30s.
It's early. It's early. 50 and above.
Yeah.
So. So hopefully they are listening through and they fucking give us a call or shoot a text because I would love to fucking set up a date to get them on here.
Hell yeah!
I want to dive into that grandma puss and start talking what's going on.
Dive into that grandma puss.
Yeah, and I want to see.
We should have that as a bumper sticker. Dive into that. puss.
Grandma puss
Eats males.
Yeah. That's kind of what I got going on right now.
Yeah.
What about you?
So I've kind of recently got into this new-ish show. I mean, it's not new. It's it's been on my like watch list forever, but I clicked on it. It's like a couple years old, but it's still currently running. I think it's about to go to the last season.
Okay.
It's called the show called Upload on Amazon Prime.
Never heard of it.
It's a situational dark comedy from Greg Daniels, the guy who made the U.S. Office.
Okay.
And basically, the premise of the show is the main character dies in a car accident from an self-driving car, but that's like part of the mystery because it's the futuristic world where everything's kind of like automated and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And when he gets in a car accident, his super rich girlfriend, who he's kind of want to break up with anyways, but like she wants to bang him, so it's like, I can't say no to that.
Yeah,
so
of course.
they stay together. Anyways, so she rushes him to the hospital. She's like, "Well, we have a plan, and my family's part of this after upload service." And basically, what is it, like they upload your consciousness to a digital heaven, and then you can like wear VR goggles and talk to people like from Earth.
Whoa.
Yeah. And it's kind of like a weird situational comedy. Like he's there under her accounts. She kind of owns him, like because it's all digital currency. As long as your families are paying for it, like you live digitally.
That sounds like right.
It's kind of weird, Black Mirror, but like comedy.
Yeah,
it's very cool.
Okay.
It's like 3 seasons, and I think they're going to the fourth last one, and they're like maybe like 8 to 10 episodes each.
And
hour.
Are you like caught up?
I just finished the first season.
Okay, I was gonna ask like if it's like if it's one of those where like it starts like getting shitty as like seasons like dragging on.
Actually, it's like the murder mystery kind of helps carry it around.
Okay,
but he also falls in love with the
well, no spoilers.
No spoilers. I mean, it's so the service that runs it basically has like these quote unquote angels that have to like customer service reps, so they can help the person who's in the digital world get through life and like, hey, you need something? Okay,
yeah,
and they have a kinship. So there's like a love triangle there.
Okay,
real life girlfriend, this digital the girl who is like the customer service rep, and the guy who's in digital heaven.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a very cool show.
Okay, and is this like comedy or like drama or
it's a comedy.
Okay,
but it's like a dark comedy.
Okay,
like I mean, there's dark elements of like there's some murder mystery of it. And,
yeah.
But it's also like Black Mirror-ish. Like, would you? And that's my question to you. Okay, if it was a reality, would you want to do this? Like, upload yourself to like a digital world, and then you could still kind of like talk to your family and stuff.
Interesting.
As long as they're paying the bills.
Oh yeah, because I'm sure there's probably some online subscription,
and,
right?
In the show, they have like different tiers of like, hey, if you're just like poor plan, you can do that, but like you kind of if you run out of minutes, like old data, like you just freeze until the end of the month, and then your monthly kicks back on.
Yeah, I mean, I totally would be down with that. I guess. I mean, if I'm like conscious of what it is, and this is just kind of the afterlife of it.
Yeah,
but yeah,
and like if you died young, like your friends and family can just jump on a VR set and talk and hang out.
Yeah, I would do that for sure.
Yeah, I think I would too.
Yeah,
as long as the people keep paying the bills.
Yeah. You got to like
set up that auto pay.
Start like your own like bank account, like a checking account specifically. Yeah. Just start throwing money in it now.
Yeah,
and then when you die, you'd be like,
here you go. Your hair, and it just goes to pay those bills. It's like, all right, cool.
I already been putting
like instead of a nursing home, you pay for the afterlife.
Yeah, it's like I've already been paying. Like, that's a good point. Yeah, for even like your folks or whatever.
Yeah, that way you can like go visit your folks whenever you want.
Yeah. Now, do they explain anything of like let's say you died and you're like 98 and kind of like
your character
not
in
fully
heaven
there.
is whatever avatar you want. So like an old photo.
Okay.
So like there's a very minor side character. She's actually the grandmother of their super rich girlfriend, but she's all black and white because the photo she had was black and white.
Ah, gotcha.
So it's whatever you upload. Or there's a kid who died when he was 6, so he's 6 forever in that world, even though he'd be 19.
So,
like in real world, he would have grown up.
Yeah,
but they never updated his avatar, so he's a 6-year-old in the world.
Gotcha. But like mentally, is he like?
He knows what's going on.
Yeah,
Yes, and he's like, dude, I should be like 19. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, you have my attention for sure.
Yeah. So you can be like, put me at 23.
Yeah.
when I look real good.
Take a photo off my MySpace.
Yeah, exactly.
And use that as my avatar. When I looked ridiculous.
Yeah, the one you used to use when you're single, and you're like, this is my best picture.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if maybe we might start it tonight.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's super quick, like half-hour watch episode.
Okay.
And they're like, it's like, all right, I can throw another one.
Yeah, because I think
that's where I'm like, all right, I can watch like 3 or 4 of these in a row.
Yeah, I think we're needing a new show anyways.
Hell yeah.
So, it's kind of funny because there is something new that I just started watching, but I guess we're gonna kind of get into today's episode.
Yeah, that's why I kind of thought about it when you brought up today's episode.
Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So, I know that they're finishing up getting ready. It seems like, but we have a mortician slash embalmer on today's episode.
Nice.
So that's super sick.
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of funny, and it's kind of weird timing how everything kind of worked out. I mean, we had Kit, who was like the cemetery groundskeeper. Yeah. And then we had Aaron on a couple weeks who does the headstones. And then now we have Katheryn. Yeah, nice. and she's the one that so she's a licensed mortician, director. Oh, yeah. I don't know what all this is, and embalmer.
Okay.
So
one-stop shop.
Yeah. So and I'm just getting the waiting for the cue here. So
hell yeah.
But as I'm waiting for that, so kind of funny, and I'm gonna ask her about this, but I just randomly found a show on HBO, and it's like new episodes are up every Sunday, and there's only been I guess 3 out. The one as of last night, but I haven't watched it yet. But it's called The Mortician, so it's kind of also funny timing because I just found this on accident.
What is it?
It's a documentary.
Okay.
On the dude's name is David Sconce, I think.
All right.
And he basically
sounds familiar.
Yeah. Well, he was pretty notorious at this time, but basically his folks owned like a funeral home, and once he kind of got in, they had an off-site crematory, and so like he was it was like his business, right? Like the family didn't have anything to do with it, but like, so he would get a couple of bodies, right? And it apparently takes like 2 to 3 hours to do a body.
Okay.
And then he started, going around and getting himself business, I guess. But then it started getting to the point where he was knocking out all of he was getting a shit ton of money, a ton of business. And basically what he was doing was shoving like 10 to 15 bodies in like what the fuck you want to call it, that burns all the bodies.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they like the kiln or whatever.
Yeah, the kiln. But so he's just insane because all of that's fucking illegal, and it's just like more bodies and getting all these like scrub drug addict dudes like involved, basically, So
all your ashes could be mixed up with.
Well, that's the fucked up part is that
you got like grandma's ashes mixed in with like
9 other ashes. People. Yeah. And you're like, oh, here's your grandma's ashes, but you might have like barely any of your grandma's ashes and it's mixed in with all these other people, which is super fucked up.
Go back to your loofah, the orgy party for
oh my god.
What color urn do you want?
Yeah, so that's super exciting and kind of funny timing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so it looks like we got
sweet.
Yeah, I think we're ready to go here. Okay, so let's give her a buzz.
This is Katheryn.
Hey, Katheryn, it's Tony and Tomboy at Pizza Bagels podcast.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are y'all?
Good. How are you?
Good. How's it going over on your end?
Hot as hell here in Texas, but other than the weather, it's pretty all right. Can't complain.
Nice.
I can imagine. We've had some hot days here, and it's probably hot over in Texas.
I just drove through Ohio a couple ago. I went to Cleveland, and it was a stark difference in temperatures.
Oh, 100%.
Night day. It was beautiful up there, though.
Yeah, it went from like 50 degrees to like 80 degrees. We didn't have the normal rise to spring.
Yeah, our weather is temperamental here too, but climate change hoax. Who knows?
Yeah.
Allegedly. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, no, hot, good. Monday doesn't quite feel like it.
Yeah.
But first and foremost, I want to thank you, gentlemen, for your patience on getting me on y'all's podcast. I have been excited to premiere on, tell everyone about my career, some of the ins and outs of the funeral industry.
Mm-hmm.
But my job is unpredicting and predictable. So I appreciate y'all being so kind.
No, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah, I understand. We were trying to get this, done last week, and got caught up with with the business, and totally understandable. But glad that we were able to make it on for this week.
Thank y'all so much again.
No problem. So, I guess first off, what's your title?
I am a dual licensed funeral director and embalmer here in Texas.
Okay, nice. Excellent. So is this how did you get into this industry? Is this like a family owned thing? Is it something you kind of like, hey, I'll give this a shot? Like, how did this all start?
It's actually been a lot of years of contemplating my career. I am first generation funeral director in my family, which a lot of people who are in the industry, it is passed down. It is something they were born into, have families into it. It's usually not one people wake up and like, you know what, that's what I want to do. Prior to this, I was finishing my nursing degree, and I was in healthcare. And I was kind of on the fence about what I wanted to do. I wanted to finish my associates and become an RN, but nothing was really, nothing really resonated with me. I had grand ideas of to help people, but be in the front lines, get dressed nicely for things, but also, get dirty, and not in a literal sense, but be in the center of things, be a first responder. I wanted a job that had a lot of exposure. I wanted one that dealt with anatomy, biology, science.
Yeah.
And I wasn't wanting something that I was just sitting behind a desk, which a lot of nurses do, though a lot of them, they are a monumental part of our healthcare industry. It's a lot of paperwork that comes with nursing.
Oh, yeah.
And you either CNA and you get shit pay. I don't know if I can curse on here.
Oh, yeah. You can say whatever you want.
Pay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's not get carried away. But yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, something's got to give. You either have an exciting job that's usually not very good in pay, or you're a nurse and you're stuck doing a lot of mundane things.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of contemplating that, and it didn't really hit me that I always kind of hovered around death care. I'm a naturally very optimistic and kind of bubbly personality, and I wanted to do something that moved me, something that I feel like I could be like a change and a light in someone's day when they need it the most. No one wants to see a Morticia Adams when they're burying their loved one. You know what I mean? It's a nice aesthetic for some people, but that's nothing people need. I'm like, Jesus, what's your problem? And it wasn't until when my dad died. He died unexpectedly in 2018. And the lady mortician came out there, and she was a badass. She came out in this little county in Texas, and she was dressed up, and we lived in a trailer home. So, of course, they are raised. They're always on platforms. There are stairs. Homes are a pain in the butt to get to and in. He died in a very precarious position on a recliner, which can be very difficult to get someone off depending on a couple different things. But she came out there and as professional as could be. And, I enjoyed talking with her. And my dad was a grumpy man. Today he died. hated strangers. So when they came to do his removal, I said, let me be in there. And I guess that's when it came over me, hearing what she did in a day, that it kind of touched base on everything I was looking for. And the fact that I was okay doing this. I was okay helping get my dad out and being around it. That inclined me to look more into the industry. And then here I am 5 years later.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing because I can only imagine because I don't think like a lot of people are comfortable with being around dead people. So
no, and that's a very 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 touchy time for a lot of people dealing with even a stranger. Like it's like when my grandmother passed away, it was like priest is like, all right, well, let me get some notes about it. I'm like, well, you don't you're not talking about you don't know her, so it's like, yeah, I could write you off so easily, but if you're the right person, like you said, it could be mean the world to somebody. That is like, okay, you care, you go above and beyond and want to be that that shoulder to cry on, especially from a stranger. That
you can see when people are genuine.
Yeah,
and that makes a difference. And death alone is a very stigmatized topic here in America. It's very taboo, and it makes a lot of people uncomfortable because a lot of people are inclined to be curious about it, but they are like, oh no, that's not appropriate. We can't do that. And well, why? There's no rhyme or reason as to why you can or shouldn't do a lot of things that people just automatically think are wrong or just inappropriate or whatever the case. But in a lot of places, there's a lot of death positivity and celebration. And that's not for everybody. Death is a sad thing, especially whenever it comes to, sudden, unexpected, or tragic deaths. They're terrible, but a life itself should be celebrated. And
oh, hold on, Katheryn, can you hear me? Hello? Uh-oh. I think we lost her for a second. Hello? Yeah. All right, let's try calling back. Hold on. Stand by, folks. Yeah. Let's try this again.
Hey, gentlemen, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Yeah, we lost you for a second.
Yeah, I lost you. I'm not really sure what happened there. Are you?
I was talking back. I was like...
Yeah, you just kind of drained out, and I was like, uh-oh, we lost her somehow. I don't know if it's losing signal or whatever the case is.
I'm sitting in the same spot, so I mean, I heard you clear as day the whole time, and you're like, she's gone. I'm like, where am I? Holy shit. I was like, did my fat face push mute? And it didn't, so I don't know. I was talking to you and you're like, let's call her back, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll be here, so.
Yeah. Now you sound clear as day now. So
yeah.
It might have been on our end with the Bluetooth. We got a new soundboard we've been messing around with, so.
Yeah, everything seems to be sounding better.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Clicking. Technology. It's great when it works.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Sorry about
that. Okay.
You're fine. Don't worry about it.
So, did you have to take any sort of special training or have to do any school to actually make this official, or is it more of like an in-house training or?
Yeah, no. Every state is different with the requirements. Embalming always requires some kind of licensing.
Okay.
It's actually less dramatic than you might think. I mean, there's a lot of science and chemistry and anatomy behind it, but sometimes it's like, let's try this and see if it works, ? There's a lot of smoke and mirrors when it comes to displaying a body, for sure.
Oh, I can only imagine.
But for embalming, almost all states, embalming, most states require licensing. Funeral directing itself, because there are usually two different components. You can be a funeral director, or you can be a funeral director and embalmer. You usually aren't just an embalmer. Most places you have to become one to get the other, or you can get a certificate to be a funeral director, but you need a license to become an embalmer. So the funeral directing is a little less requirements, but here in Texas, you need to be dual licensed. You either can be a licensed funeral director or licensed funeral director and embalmer. And in Texas specifically, there are some community colleges that offer courses. Like for me, I have an associate's in mortuary science that I got at San Antonio College, like at a regular community college, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And there are some places that are more of a vocational school for funeral directing. There's one in Dallas, one in Houston, and they're like 16 months, give or take. But it's the same concept, learning mortuary stuff. You do need a degree in an accredited school, and then you need to pass the state boards for both of those, so funeral directing and embalming. So, like, I like to think it's kind of on par with the nursing, right? You go to school, you do your apprenticeship and or clinicals for nursing, and then you have to pass your state board. So, like, for me, when I was in school, they had they were really strict about your grades. Anything below an 84, they would boot you, just because they didn't want a high graduation rate with people failing the state board.
Yeah.
So they kind of weeded them out that way. So the school itself it wasn't easy, that's for sure. And then we did our state boards, and then I became licensed. So it took about 3.5 years to get my dual licensing.
Nice.
Is that something you have to, like, every few years have to update, or like take a test or whatever? I know nursing kind of have to.
Yeah, you have to do a lot like nursing. You have to do continued education, like CE.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's those letters. Continued education. I think it's every 2 years. You have to do like 16 hours. You have to do jurisprudence, so law, anatomy, certain things like that.
Okay.
Was there, like, when you're going through the schooling, like, obviously school, but was there anything like on the cool end of like learning like the embalming end of it? Like, were you practicing on like certain things? Like,
yeah, no, we had live cadavers in our school.
Oh shit.
So in the community college, they had people that donated their body to science, and they were used for that, which is a really hard thing. A lot of people say they want to get their body donated to science, but they are strict as shit on who they will accept. Like, nah, man, you're too old, you're too fat. And I'm like, damn, like, that's crazy that they'll only really use cadavers with really specific specifications, not to be redundant, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I guess so. You're cutting them open. You don't want any surprises,
Yeah. But still,
I guess. I don't know why. And it's like, we feel like you would want a more versatile,
Yeah,
like,
because you never know what you're
things you are testing on, not just some 170-pound white dude with no conditions. I'm like, they're all the same in this, I guess maybe using a base one type. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I am not nothing to do with that. But no, we had actual cadavers we practiced on.
Yeah, because I was going to say, because you're going to get all shapes and sizes once you're in the industry. Like, what? I feel like they're cheaping you out, like, not giving you the crazy ones.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of them, we can get all the way from a regular 90-year-old woman to a person who's missing limbs in a car accident, who's been embalmed, so they're missing organs. So, they're not missing them, but they're in a bag inside of them.
Yeah.
Not to be, too graphic or anything, but it's,
by all means, you can
people die tragic and death.
Yeah, you can be as graphic as you want to. Feel free. Do people react weird or anything like that when you tell them what you do? Are they excited or kind of like, oh, I don't know, I couldn't do that? Mixed reactions, maybe?
Actually, I get pretty good responses. I think if I were like an old dude, they might be like, "Whoa, that's creepy." But I'm younger, and I'm not young per se, but I am a younger, pretty social lady. So I think more people are surprised. I come and I'm like, "Hey, how are you?" Blah blah blah, and then I talk about working, and they say, "You're what?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a mortician." So I get more of a surprise element, and people ask me questions all the time. But I like to think I am inviting, and people, for the most part, feel fairly, at least they seem to, feel fairly comfortable. I'm honest with them. I don't mind the questions. I, of course, interact with them just the same. I reciprocate with their curiosity and their talking. I'm back at it with them, and that kind of opens that door. So, people love to discuss my job with me. Yeah,
it's very fascinating. Like, for me, at least, I'm like, whoa, cool. We have to get her on here and talk about this. If like my mom would be like, "Oh no, nope, I'm not talking to people. That's with dead people." Yeah, like she's all weird about it. So
yeah, there's a time and a place for sure. Like when I first started, my mother, she's pointed the quote.
We lost it.
Katheryn, if you could hear us,
hold on. One more.
This is the voice from the dead, and.
We'll call you.
We'll call you right back. Yeah, hold on. Yeah, this is what's going on with this new board,
know.
my guy. Let's try this again.
Mess around with it later.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I don't really know what's going on here, and I've said this to people before, but I swear this has never happened to me.
Yeah, right. This is the first time.
Yeah, this is definitely the first. I swear this has never happened to me before.
No worries. Well, I promise I'm sitting where I'm not standing. I'm lying immediately. I am sitting in the same spot. Like, I am not moving, so
Yeah,
I don't think it's mine.
It just could be, one of our settings, because I was messing around with a few things before we called you, so I could have fucked something up. Sorry, do you remember what you were saying?
My life, I'm pretty good at it. What was I saying? Yeah, no, I do. Shit. I was segueing into what I was saying.
It was like bringing it up
are pretty
people.
So people are generally pretty excited. But there's a time and a place. Like when I first started in the industry, my mom is totally supportive, but she would like start conversations. She'd be like, yeah, tell these people about the guy with the no head. And I'm like, Mom, like, let's calm down. They don't want to, like, there's a time and a place, and we don't just open up like that. Like, let them ask.
Yeah, work your way into the horror stories.
We're definitely here for those.
Oh, yeah.
So,
there's a few of them.
Cool. Well, I'm sure we'll probably have some point.
We have to get to the no-head guy.
Yeah. Now we're gonna have to hit that at some point in the show. So, Tomboy, write that down. Don't forget. So I guess I don't know. Do you want to walk us through typically like what the day looks for you?
That is a loaded question because every day is different.
I guess
depending on how many families we have. Like, for instance, I'll look at my calendar this week. I have got a funeral service every day, and I meet with families, and I'm on call 1 week at a time, alternating weeks. So usually I get to work, and I'm either getting ready for a funeral and or going to a funeral. It's a lot of coordinating with grave diggers and getting caskets and obituaries, and there's a lot of admin work, but also making sure the bodies are presentable, meeting with families, and sometimes when they're slower, just I work in a pretty rural, not really rural, not right now at least. I did, but I work for not really short staffed, but there's only a few of us there. So, we do a lot of it ourselves. We don't really have, people to wash our cars or to do our laundry. So, just keeping up with the normal upkeep. So every day can look vastly different. Like this weekend, I went to Livingston, Texas, which is about 3 hours away for a graveside. So that was my all day Saturday. And then Sunday, which was yesterday, I met with the family. And then I had another family who wanted to see their mother before we went to the church today. And they were nervous because she was a little jaundiced.
Sure.
And they were worried about her color. And I said, we may not want to see Mom out in public for the first time. Like, if we want, let's make some time so we can see her in privacy, have some time with family, and then determine if we want everyone to see her or not the next day.
Yeah.
So I met with that family, and then today, services, tomorrow, same shit, different day.
Yeah. So then on top of that, you got days that you're embalming. Are you doing like makeup and stuff too?
Oh, yeah, every day. Like this morning, I had the same lady. I touched up her makeup more. I did it yesterday, but you got it touched up usually the next day, as they said. I actually have one to embalm this afternoon, but I came home. I only live a couple minutes from the funeral home, but I also needed to get a charger, start charging my phone, and change because I was in a whole suit and whatnot.
Sure.
But I live really close to the funeral home, so I will probably pop by there after this and turn on some music and get to work.
Nice.
How far out do you go? Because you said you went through 3 hours. Is that like the radius of where you're kind of located? That I would imagine.
Oh, I could go really anywhere. There gets to a point where you're just gonna have to put someone on a plane. I'm not gonna travel to, for instance, Ohio with the body. Usually not.
Right.
But like I drove to Oklahoma a couple months ago to deliver a body. They didn't want to pay for airplane a ticket, pretty much.
Wow.
You have to pay for cargo. So that's how you ship a body, is by weight in cargo, not like a whole airplane seat. So, it really depends. Sometimes we have families who live far. They have family here. They want to use us. We'll get them shipped to us. I have families that have cemeteries, like, for instance, in Livingston, and that one was fairly far. So we did services there, and then we drove them out to where they needed to go at their cemetery. So it really just depends. Sometimes it's just not practical to drive that whole distance.
Yeah, I can only imagine so. The embalming process is very intriguing to me. Can you like walk us through kind of, the process of what you have to do this?
Yep, absolutely. I can tell you step by step, at least how I do it. It's pretty much the same, not like I do it differently. I mean, how you bake a cake is pretty much the same for everyone.
Especially
But some people
autopilot,
have some
yeah.
tweaks in their preferences. Yeah. So pretty much first thing you have to do in embalming, the whole general gist is you are draining the blood and switching it with chemicals that will retard decomposition, technical terms. Thank you very much. And help with preservation. So first and foremost, you set features, because a lot of people pass and their mouth is wide open, just like in the movies. Well, not always, they're usually not that pretty. Wide open mouth, open eyes a lot. So you have to set features. So whenever you start embalming, those features will stay how you want them. They will kind of get, I don't want to say stuck in that position, but they will be preserved in that position as opposed to open or something a little less flattering. So you set features. I bathe them to first and foremost get them nice and clean. No one likes to be dirty. Groom their hair, do all their little things as I'm bathing them, get them ready. And then you have to raise vessels. So most embalmers will go either through your carotid, which is
Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. Hold on, Katheryn. This is... Hold on. I'm going to have to call you back. Sorry. Jesus. This is annoying.
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes. So sorry. Please continue.
Perfect. No, you're fine. I literally don't even mind. It is okay.
Okay.
Where did I leave off when you last heard me?
That they basically kind of, you're doing like the hair and makeup and kind of doing the little things.
Yeah, adjusting like if the mouth is open or the eyes are
start with
open.
setting features.
Yes.
So I clean them off, set their features. Pretty much I close their mouth. There are different ways you can do that. One is with a needle injector, which is like 2 screws with wires attached to them. You put one in the top jaw, one on the bottom. You don't really hammer. It's kind of like you put them in the teeth or in the gums more so with this little device that's, I don't know, like almost like a little hammer, but it's not quite. I don't quite know how to describe it. But you suture them, you close their mouth like that, close their eyes. I get them clean, and then you have to raise vessels. So most embalmers will either use the carotid or the jugular and or the femoral. So like in the neck and or in the legs. You raise your artery, you raise your vein, you mix your fluid depending on what you're needing, how long that person is going to have to sit until funeral services, if they have edema, if they have jaundice, just little things that will determine what kind of chemical composition you'll need. If they're a little old lady, something with a little bit more, I can't think of words, more moisturizing, so to speak, so they won't dehydrate. So there are a couple different things that will determine what you use. You raise vessels, and then you start injecting with like a cannula. You put it in there, you open the artery, you put the cannula, and then you start pumping it through the veins, and then you open the vein, and then you start taking out the blood. So as your chemicals go in, the blood comes out, and then sometimes you need to determine like what my fluid distribution is doing. Like, hey, is my hand getting it? Is their legs getting it?
That was my next question. Yeah.
Staying in the femoral. Yeah. So like say I'm in my femoral, right? So I've got fluid going down the neck. I've got my vein open. Am I getting good drainage? Am I getting good distension in the arteries and in the vein where I can tell they're filling back up? Is my color good? Am I firming? If not, like, hey, man, that left leg looks like shit, then I'll have to go and open up the femoral and then kind of find the arteries to the place that's not getting and then try to get to that area that way. So you have to have a pretty good knowledge of the arterial system and the cardiovascular system. So that part's pretty interesting. I get to see a lot of people's insides. That's pretty cool, and their blood. It can be a pretty gory job. And then once we do that, then you have to do what's called cavity work. And that is where you use a trocar. And that is like a big needle, a big hollow needle that is to a suction device. And then you stab that in their abdomen, and then it sucks out all their things. Not like their guts, but the fluids that are in their organs. And then you stab it around, really. I mean, there's no really prettier way to put that.
Yeah.
All throughout their abdomen, and it sucks it up, and then you fill that up with a different cavity fluid, which is usually a lot stronger because that has all of your stomach acids. That's where your first place to decompose is your stomach. So if you're sitting there and you start having decomposition, you'll mainly see the greening in the abdomen area first because that's all where your bacteria is.
Mm-hmm.
So we put a higher concentrated fluid in there. Then we put what's called the trocar button. It's like a little screw, pretty much, like a little plastic one, and you screw that in, and then you suture up their arteries and veins, and you suture up their skin, and then they're good to go.
Interesting. That's so wild.
How long does this chemicals last? Like,
it depends. Really, I mean, we can have a person easily from 2 weeks, give or take, depending on how quickly after death they were embalmed, depending on a lot of intrinsic factors like the condition of their body when they died, if they were terminal, if they had certain conditions, what the temperature is outside, what the temperature is where they're at. There are a lot of things that can determine how long a body can stay preserved.
How long does it usually take to, like, I guess, give or take, to embalm a body?
About an hour to 3, give or take.
Okay.
Some a little more, some a little less. Some are a pain in the butt, and you have to go down all the vessels, and you struggle with just certain things. Some are more cooperative than others. Some are just easy as can be, and they have great drainage, and they firm up, and they look great, and you like, hell yeah, but not all of them.
That's why you do like the lower body, because like if an open casket, like isn't like you don't see the legs or anything like that,
Oh yeah.
You only see like from torso up.
No, you don't, but they can start rotting, and then you don't want them to get what's called skin slip, and that's where your skin pretty much is like a tomato when it starts going bad, and that layer of the tomato starts coming off, and it's real slippery.
Mm-hmm.
Your skin does that, and it's not great. And once you start getting fluid coming from the body from like either a wound or a skin slip, the body will continue to leak and weep and be messy, and we don't want that because we use a lot of plastics in the industry. So, if the legs don't get it, they can start to get blisters or get skin slip or start to smell. So though you can't see it, it'll be evident. Like, oh, that body doesn't smell good at all.
Yeah,
oh, man.
Does the family give you like photos to like base off of what they want the body to look like? Just like.
You mean like makeup wise?
Yeah, like makeup wise. Like,
oh, totally, absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I encourage them to, like, hey, man, bring me Ma's favorite lipstick, or how do you want me to do her hair? Because I don't know how she did her hair.
Yeah, you're just guessing like, this is what I
laying
do.
back and it's washed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't want to see my executive decisions. Like, well, her hair looks like shit. She never wore it like that. I'm so sorry, forgive me. So I mean, I see them. They're laying back. I mean, their heads are on a pillow, so gravity is going to make their hair fall back anyway.
Right.
It's washed, so it looks a lot different. I mean, sometimes you can see where a person has their part naturally, but it's going to look vastly different. So, like, hey, man, show me what you want Mom to look like or Dad to look like, and I will do my damnedest to make them look like it.
Hell yeah. You ever come across like when you're like working on a body and I don't remember what's like where like the where like something like the body like I guess you use like it jumps like a hand moves or like it's not rigor mortis. I don't know what's the term for that. You know what I mean?
Spasm?
Like, yeah, like a spasm, I guess, so to speak. Is that like happens at all? Hello? Oh, jeez. Yeah, I think we lost her again. So sorry about this.
The calls keep dying.
Maybe that's it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep, I can hear you. I'm sorry. It's I don't know. I did something.
No, it's okay. Don't even worry about it. I am actually gonna. Are you asleep? Okay, sorry. I'm actually just gonna step out of my house anyway. Maybe that'll help. Who knows?
Okay. So as I was saying, and I don't know how much of it you caught before we kind of lost you there, but yeah. So like if you're like I don't know like doing makeup on a body or the hair or whatever you're doing, like where like a body part just like kind of like jumps up. Is there anything like that?
Oh yeah, no. So bodies really don't have spasms, so to speak. They're not really moving unless like usually it's the hand is in a position or something where it falls or just moves because of gravity.
Mm-hmm.
They're not ever moving by themselves or doing anything like that. Sometimes they'll make noises though with the fluid in the esophagus. Like say if you push on them just right, not really like a burp, like a gurgle kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you're moving them, sometimes that can shift the fluids in their esophagus, and that can cause them to make noises, but they're not really moving.
Yeah, I watch a lot of horror movies, so I was
you're not like freaked out. You hear noise, random noise, or did you got that playlist blasting?
No, they're not too bad. The dead people aren't too scary. They're my friends. So
yeah,
I'm not freaked out by them.
Nice. Yeah, you gotta have a sense of humor about that kind of thing, especially in your line of work. I'm sure.
For sure.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And you know what? Hanging out with them isn't that bad. I mean, at first it's a little surreal because they're like, that's a whole ass dead person.
Yeah.
Like, wow, that's crazy. But, really, I'm chill with them and I like talking to them. I like, depending on if, what your religion and your afterlife beliefs are. Some say, oh no, the body's not even there. But, I treat them with dignity and kindness and I pretend they are and someone's watching me at all times. So, I always go into that mentality. And, it is a job where I am afforded the ability to be kind and tenderhearted in situations that matter with people's loved ones, even when I know no one's watching. And it's a tenderhearted thing that I enjoy to be able to do. Like even when I'm working on little old ladies, I'm like, yeah, man, let's get you ready. Like, we can't have your hair like that. But, I make sure I am treating them tenderly and lovingly. I don't like the word tenderly.
Oh, yeah.
Even lovingly. Treating them kindly. There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to be like a fly on the wall, just when you're just like, oh, I'm talking with them, do all this. Like I could just only imagine like how those conversations are going.
It's quite the one-sided conversation for
yeah.
sure. But, I'll put on music or, I'll make a call while I'm embalming and I'll put on speaker. And it's like, acknowledge them like they're people. I mean, they're not alive people, but that's okay. And I'll treat people the way I'd want me to be treated or my mom to be treated. Like if I see something funky with them, I'm like, hey man, let me fix this. Or you're dirty there. Let's get you fixed up, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's my job to make sure that you're clean and you go out with dignity.
Yeah.
Now this might be more a funeral director part. Do you ever have like arguments with the family might have it in like the will to say, hey, I want him cremated, but then
absolutely
the family's like, absolutely no, we don't want that happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And I say that is on y'all. Y'all leave the family drama at home. I'm here to help as much as I can, but really we are here to honor the life of so and so. Y'all need to get y'all shit together. I don't say it like that so much, but yeah, I know a lot of people. I mean, that brings out, a lot of family drama, and it brings people out of the woodworks too that either want something or feel they're owed something, and when they're in the arrangement room with us, they like to spill all the tea all the time with the funeral directors because they think we've got some kind of pull or push or can do favoritism.
Oh, jeez.
Which I don't play like that.
Do they ever like surprise you with like, or like ever want things that kind of surprise you? Like I'm trying to think of like an example, like
a themed.
Well, I don't think there's been anything too surprising that people have really wanted to do. Nothing, I guess depending on who you're at, how you ask, the matter of surprising. But no, I mean, people want pretty basic things. And
that's what I meant.
I've had families want to come and groom and bathe their loved one, which could be out of the normal for some. I think it's nice. I think, like, hey man, let's come. And I had a family want to do oil their loved one, not like baby oil, but like essential oils.
So a ditty party in the funeral home?
No ditty, nothing like that. I would, I know that's your loved one, but take that shit off there, please. I'm not trying to get some kind of legal thing over here. Yeah. No, thank you. But no, I mean, for the most part, no one's asked for anything too crazy.
No Viking funerals.
I've had people bury their loved ones, at their house too. That's been always cool. You have to get it approved through the county. Every county's a little different.
Sure.
But just different things. I mean, it may not be normal per se, but nothing crazy.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Because I feel like that probably most families that come in, there's just a regular, yep, this is traditional, just do this. But then there's a family that's requesting something that's out of the norm, I suppose.
Yeah, other than taking someone's gold teeth, I say that's the craziest thing. Is taking someone's gold teeth. And that's not even a lot of gold.
Yeah.
It's soft. You can't do anything with it,
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, usually people don't want stuff from their dead member that I've seen. I mean, I've heard other directors where they had a decedent who was an inmate who had, I guess, a Prince Albert or something like that, something to do with his dick and something on it.
Yeah.
And I know the loved one was let me have that. And it wasn't with me. And I said, hey, man, if she wants it, more power to her. But no, nothing crazy like that.
Okay. I can only imagine. Hey,
can I get that dick?
Yeah, let me get that dick ring. Yeah.
Or just I
need you to touch it and put your hands on it to remove it. Hey, buddy, if you say so. I don't remember if he did or didn't. I know it was a gentleman. Hang on, I'm turning my car on. It's hot as hell in here. Hang on.
You're good.
So, really, when it comes down to it, you got to touch it. For me, I'm a lady, obviously. And if I see a lady's got she's got weird under titty things, I'm going to clean her up. Or if she needs to be cleaned, it's an intimate job too.
Yeah.
You have to get touchy with people, of course, to clean them, but to clean them in a dignified way. I'm not going to let them be soiled.
Right.
I'm sure some people would, but I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Oh no! Sorry, Katheryn. Hold on.
That might have been sweet. Said she got in her car. It might went over her Bluetooth.
Off. Oh yeah.
That might have been that.
Yeah.
It's probably on our end for the rest of it, but
yeah, this is the most embarrassing episode, but also really cool.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey. Long time to talk.
Yeah. Sorry. So yeah, you're just saying having to have to get in there and to clean them all up, huh? Getting handsy.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. It's weird at first. Sometimes it's uncomfortable when you start because it's, unless you're taking care of elderly people, it's kind of the same concept. It's an uncomfortable thing for people. Mm-hmm. But the more you do it, the more you realize it's just a necessary part of the job. And, I wouldn't want to go out like that. And I'm sure they wouldn't either,
Mm-hmm. Is there any 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 cases that were I don't know, they had a heavy head trauma or something that the family.
We said no head guys earlier. We gotta.
We're gonna get to that. I have not forgotten about that. Yeah. But let's say the families they want to have an open casket, but there was some heavy head trauma. Is there cases what's the process to trying to make sure that it just appears normal and not showing that at all?
Sometimes you can only do so much. The most you can do is be very transparent with the family. Say, whenever they come from like the medical examiners and I haven't seen them, like I know they've been in an accident, they say, we want to see dad, we want to see mom, we want to see brother, whoever. So, then I have to lay my eyes on them first. The medical examiners will say, no, they're viewable, but just because they're viewable, they mean identifiable. Yeah, I can identify them, but that doesn't mean that they are viewable. That is vastly different.
Right.
So they, oh no, the medical examiner said they're viewable. Nope, I need to lay my eyes on it to see what we are working with. Once I do that, I can determine what can and can't be done with realistic expectations. I will do everything in my ability, and if I say that they are not viewable and you still want to, I will give you the option to come in and see for yourself. And if they are that bad, say I don't think it's a good idea. I'm not going to do that to the public. It could be a potential lawsuit, being traumatizing to the public.
Right.
Just because Sally Mae says, we want everyone to see, then little Timmy comes in there. Oh my gosh, look at that! It's a liability for the funeral home, which this is a litigious business. That's for sure.
Mm. Now, you mentioned
it really is a case by case.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier, like when you this sort of how you got into it. When the funeral director, went to your dad's house when he passed away, do you go with the coroner to check out the body, or is it like, or do they send the body to you?
County. So
okay.
It all depends. So and I can only speak on behalf of Texas.
Yeah.
So in bigger cities, they have medical examiner. A medical examiner is a state or is a county appointed forensic pathologist that takes care of unattended death. Mainly the bigger cities have them. So for instance, whenever there is a death in a smaller county that does not have a medical examiner, the JP, the Justice of the Peace, will come out there and they will talk to the family and say it's a known medical condition. The judge feels comfortable signing on the death certificate. They can circumvent going to the medical examiner. But if that is not the case and someone dies in their county unexpectedly, say the police come out, someone's dead, then they say, no, I can't make a cause of death on that. Most counties are contracted with medical examiners. There are a lot of private medical examiners that people just don't realize are around because no one ever really needs it, until you do. It's nothing people really look into. A lot of counties have contracts with either private forensic pathologists, or they can be contracted with the forensic pathologist in the nearest major city. So, for instance, certain counties will have contracts with the funeral home. Say, hey, you'll do all of our JP inquests. So, I've been to a couple funeral homes that took care of that. So, say, for instance, a car accident, that's usually the major unexpected death. Car accident, suicides, falls, things like that. Say a car accident will happen, and then TxDOT will come out here, the JP, and they say, no, we need to take them to the medical examiner. The funeral home that either they have on contract or they will have shifts, we'll have this funeral home this weekend, this funeral home that weekend. It really just depends on where you're working. They will have the funeral home come out, the funeral home take to the medical examiner, have the medical examiner do the autopsy, have the funeral home of the family's choice pick up from the medical examiner, and then the medical examiner will do that report, send it to the judge, say, hey, these are my findings, and then the judge will sign off on the death certificate per the autopsy results. So there's a lot of transporting back and forth to the medical examiner and or the forensic pathologist from the funeral home. If it's a bigger city, sometimes they have staff of their own, like Travis County. That's the closest one I work, which is Austin, Texas. They will have their own team to pick up. So, if the death happens in Austin, bam, Travis County medical examiner will come pick up. And then the funeral home, the family's choice, will pick up from them, if that all makes sense.
No, it totally does.
Yeah.
It's kind of long-winded, but just for kind of a full explanation.
No, I appreciate it, because it is confusing, especially with small towns and larger towns, how it kind of goes by with who handles what jurisdiction.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize it either. They don't know. A lot of justices of the peace do the signing of the death certificates. There are a lot of logistics that you just don't think of.
No, yeah, you just think it's okay, well, grandma died, and then somebody's gonna pick up the body, and then it'll end up at the funeral home, and then we go to the funeral, and then that's all handled behind the scenes kind of deal, and that's the behind the scenes I was kind of curious about. So.
Now, a lot of times, funeral homes don't even do their own removal. So, there are a lot of also third-party mortuary pickup sites that people don't realize.
Oh, really?
That their job is to just pick up and prep on behalf of funeral homes. But there's tons of them all around. You just don't really see them. They're like the most unexpected places too, like in a shopping center near damn mother's window and kind of thing. And then there's just a garage with dead people in it.
Right next to the T-Mobile store.
Do you guys have like a? I'm gonna change my question because I was about to ask if you guys had like a crematory like on site, or do you have somewhere that someone? I don't know if you have like a contract with another company or it's off site where someone picks them up and takes them over.
It depends. Everyone is different. I've worked for.
Oh no! Hold on. Hold that thought. Hold on.
Sorry about this, guys.
Yeah, we suck.
Hello.
Okay, sorry. Continue. So it depends on the situation.
You're good. Yeah, no, it just depends. Yeah, like I worked for 3 funeral homes here in Texas, 2 of which have owned their own crematory, and one of which used a contract with a separate facility with a crematory. The one that I used that didn't own their own crematory, that was just a crematory fee on the contract, and when we worked closely with, they were both family owned, and we did the transportation to that crematory to do. The second one that I worked in, I was actually a crematory operator there. I absolutely fucking hated it. I absolutely hated it. I wouldn't even be cremated. I hated it that much.
Wow.
So I did the cremations there, and we had 2 funeral homes. One was the bigger one. One was in a more rural area that had the crematory in it. And that's where I did it. It was also a chapel too, so we could have services there as well, but we wouldn't be burning while we had services because there is smoke that is involved.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one where I work now, we own our own, but it is at a different location. So we just do the transporting there. I don't do the cremations at this job.
Yeah, the offsite. Yeah, gotcha.
But a lot of places like, because there are low-cost cremation services that, like, for instance, here, a full-service cremation, or first, a full-service funeral home will charge a direct cremation, and that is just the cremation, no services. Anywhere from about $1,500, and I'm ballparking it, to about $3,900 per se. The range can go from that in a full-service funeral home. A lot of that can vary, but that's a ballpark average from what I see in my area, as opposed to like a bigger, high volume cremation only service that can do it at a $700 or $900. It is a vast difference in price in cremation. Yeah. But there is a lot of difference in what you pay for and what you get.
Yeah.
In that. A lot of those, high volume cremation, like, oh, we're gonna. Yeah, I don't want to name names and like this bitch. We work there, They don't own their own crematory. They just pick up a body and they'll just use any really funeral home or place, and they don't have really a brick and mortar, and they will contract with different places, and it is, at least for me, more nerve-wracking because it is hard to keep track and custody of a body that is going through so many different hands. And how can you really promise a quality of care? You don't know the family. You don't know where they're going. It is just more shrouded in mystery. And like I've been to, like whenever I worked for funeral, like my first funeral home, I went like covert mission to, one of those cremation ceremonies that does that. And really, whenever you get down to, nickels and dimes, for what they charge, if you want to have a viewing of your loved one, if you want to do that, you're better off going to a full-service cremation. You're going to get a full-service funeral home. You're going to get much better service. For like a couple $100 difference, much better service, more of an opportunity to see your loved one, a better, turnaround for getting cremated remains back, death certificates. It's not worth saving just a few $100,
Yeah,
yeah,
no, totally. Go get it worth it.
Yeah, dying's expensive.
Yeah.
It sure is, man. I mean, a full service funeral can cost, $12,000 to $20,000, and that's not in a big city. A big city can be so much more. disgustingly expensive.
I can only imagine. So before I do end up forgetting, are you ready can you tell us this headless guy story? I don't know if it's as exciting as we're making it out to be.
No, I mean, it's pretty anticlimactic. I mean, the facts are, I mean, it's gruesome, but almost all of my more gruesome stories, almost all of them, is something we do every single day, every single one of us, and they are motor vehicle accidents. They will fuck you up bad. Even if you're wearing a seatbelt. I mean, when I first started in the industry, I worked in an area that was, you know, one lane, oncoming traffic and high speed limits. A lot of deer in the area, a lot of turns, high speed limit. So there were a lot of collisions and a lot of car accidents. And when I first started, I got a lot of gruesome ones. Just unironically, I don't know why, because usually we'll get one, that's really bad once every 6 months, once every year, give or take. Sometimes they come in clusters. But we got 3 incredibly gruesome ones off the bat. And I mean, they are as visceral as you would think. I mean, you're driving a metal machine, that's thousands of pounds at 60 miles an hour, hitting something that may be another vehicle, that may be a tree, that you may be flipped over, and it will absolutely wreak havoc on your limbs, your skin, your head. It'll crush you, rip you, tear you apart. Yeah. And I mean, I think the only saving grace to that is it's a pretty quick death. Thank God, as opposed to something that's long and drawn out.
Yeah.
You'll die a lot on impact, and then your limbs will get ripped and shredded. And those are a little bit more difficult. I've had it to where you had to get a body bag and be like, hey, I think that's one skin or a part of a body over there. Pick it up and put it in the bag. All right, let's go. And that's part of when I learned that I would be pretty good in this job. I mean, I'm also pretty scrappy, and I've got a country girl body, so I'm kind of strong when it comes to that. So to be able to get down there, and I've had to go in ditches in the middle of the night. I've had to go to people's houses when it's icy. When we had an ice storm, I mean, I'm talking to people in Ohio, so y'all probably laugh, but we're not acclimated to the ice. Or anything like that. So when our weather gets bad, we're all fucking absolutely ridiculous, and we don't know how to drive, and we don't have the infrastructure for it.
People don't know how to drive here in Cleveland.
Yeah, it rains and nobody knows how to drive.
It does it every year, and people still don't know how to drive. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Well, here, people in Texas, I mean, we can do the heat, but you live a little bit of.
Damn it! Hold on a second.
Almost had it.
Almost.
There you go. You there?
Yeah.
Seems like it's a certain point, and then it
just... Where I've had to, drive my little Tahoe, and, because a lot of people will do removals in a van and not like a hearse. You don't usually see people get picked up in a hearse. That's usually reserved for a funeral. But, driving my Tahoe or my Suburban, down a country road in the icy weather and go pick up a 200-pound man with help of the first responders. It's a lot, and I've seen a lot, and I've met a lot of people and been to a lot of people's houses, which is also really cool, because I've seen from the really rich to the really poor, and everyone dies just the same. I get to go into their houses, which sounds kind of creepy, but I don't mean it like that. But, it's neat. I get to see how people live. I get to be in their area respectfully, and they welcome me in. I got to do my job, of course, but I mean, it's interesting for sure.
Yeah.
And the car accidents and suicides, I never want to sound flippant. I mean, I know I've seen a bit, so I'm not as in shock about it. It can be interesting. I say that with the utmost respect for sure, but it's something you don't see every day, and something that a lot of people don't get to see. And to have firsthand witness to something like that, it's definitely crazy. I've seen suicides by hanging, gunshots, drownings, self-drownings too, asphyxiations, cutting of wrists. And it's crazy because you get to see them and the exact moment in which they did it. And that's kind of the surreal thing too. Like you get to see where they were sitting, and it's like the environment they are in. It's different. There's a heaviness to it.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
And that, yeah, no, absolutely. And you're there with the judges and the deputies, and a lot of times they need help. Like, hey, will you move them over? Let me take pictures of their back. So you get to help a lot with maybe not the investigation because you're not really a pivotal point, but you're helping. You're another set of eyes there to point things out. You're talking to the family too when you're there. Like, hey, I'm the funeral director. I'm here to pick up so and so. So you are a monumental part in that aspect too. That could that's a lot of times the worst day in someone's life. And you get to witness that all unfolding with everyone doing their investigation and taking their pictures and writing reports and the family. And it's just, it's very, very movie-like at times.
Yeah, that's there's a lot in there that you just said that like
never even think about.
Yeah,
before.
dude, exactly. Especially just like saying like when you show up there to the environment of where they're at, laying there, like or whatever the case is, and
and that can be absolutely heavy.
Yeah, that's something I never even thought of, and that's wild when you actually like sit back and like just picturing the room and what's around them and whatever booze, drugs, whatever the case is. It's just yeah, man. That's really unfortunate.
And you get to see the wildest things. I mean, some people. I mean, I've seen people. Erotic. Asphyxiations killed themselves that way, and it's like, whoa, like, I mean, that stuff happens too. I've gotten at least 2 cases like that.
Yeah.
It is just wild. But like I said, the car accidents, be careful driving. That'll fuck you up the most, and those are pretty gruesome. And unfortunately, I mean, even if you're not doing anything, you got to be defensive. I mean, I've seen people zoom into the other lane and bam, kill other people on impact. And they were going to their boyfriend's house. They were going somewhere and just so suddenly. And, I mean, of course, everyone says it. I mean, you never know. It happens.
So you risk every time you get in the car.
Really, I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they were on their way. They were on the phone with someone. They were going to see someone. They just got done seeing someone, and bam, it just, what the fuck?
Yeah. Shit's scary.
Yeah. And those are the tricky ones to embalm too, whenever you're autopsied, because they cut you open and they cut open your head. So then you have to put your head back on, not like from the neck, but the top of the skull, pretty much. Your calvarium, that needs to be placed back on, and you have to line that up. You're missing all of your organs, so they take your organs out because they inspect all of it.
Yeah.
And then they put it in the bag and they put it back in your abdomen in a black bag, and then they do a loose whip stitch for your abdomen. So when you have to embalm, it's quite a process. You have to treat their insides in a bucket. You have to embalm each part of their extremity pretty much because it's all disconnected. Your circulatory system is just that. I mean, it's a closed circuit. So when it's broken, you can't get to the other part. So you have to do the legs, their arms. It's going to sound gross, but their meat flaps, that's their abdomen that's open, kind of like flopping around.
Yeah.
You have to treat that. And then their head, you have to go up. You have to, it's just, that's a lot more of a process. That's easily about 3 hours, depending.
Have you ever had to use like wigs or like toupees for like if the head was cut open?
Oh, good question.
Like, and it's like unmanageable.
Yeah, no, I have. I've had to do it where I've had sutures across the head, and they didn't have very much hair, and it was not very pretty, where I've had to take hair from the back of their head and, like, try to stick it in individually. I mean, it's not always the prettiest thing, but you do what you have to. You do what
you can't
can, and I'm like,
a bald guy a wig.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've had it to where I've had to do, little hair transplants and use wax and, glue and just things like that are just the most unexpected things, like a lot of plastic and just smoke and mirrors and, rods, just regular PVC pipe whenever your bones are broken and have to straighten them out like that.
Is it easier to deal with like a hospital, or is it easier to deal with like going to somebody's house to if somebody died at home?
The removal themselves, absolutely hospital.
Hospital, because they have their holes.
Because hospital beds, they're dead. They're dope. I mean, they are dope because you know why? Hospital beds, you can straighten them out. You can raise them up to go with the cot. You don't have to deal with.
Oh, jeez. Hold on. To be continued.
Yeah.
In just a second. What an episode.
I mean, it'd be great minus the phone calls.
Are you there?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. No, hospitals, hands down. I would much rather do a hospital removal any day because the beds adjust. You can flatten them out, raise them up. You are dealing with, tile floors and a
professionals,
regular parking lot, as opposed to like someone's porch that has, busted up wooden steps that doesn't have a ramp, or meanwhile is in the last room down the hallway that you can't get the cot down because cots are long. I mean, they're a full 6 foot. They're the size of the length of someone's body. So if you have a narrow corner you have to go through, the cot doesn't bend, so the cot doesn't go in. So then you have to take the person from the room to the cot. So there are a lot of things, if there's long hallways, narrow hallways, clutter, porches, no ramps, just a lot of things with a house removal that can be very cumbersome and strenuous.
Gotcha.
Have you
yeah, and I've done a lot.
Yeah. Have you had anybody famous come in as far as funeral wise, or have to embalm anybody?
No, no one famous. I don't work at a funeral home high profile enough for that.
Gotcha. Yeah. Just curious.
Or even local famous, like
Yeah, no, I'm not. I mean, I've had some people, like, some authors, but no one, like, very well-renowned. No one crazy. I mean, I've had, like, local people who, have been famous in their little communities that have had big services, but no one, like, international or even nationwide that would be like, wow, that's crazy,
Yeah. What about, when you're like watching movies that have to do with, or shows with like funeral homes, embalming bodies, so forth? Are you kind of like
calling them out on?
Yeah, like
that ain't real.
That's
not real.
They don't do that, or you're like, this actually is portraying it like pretty accurately.
It just depends. There is this game out there. Shit, I can't remember the game. My kids were playing it. It's a mortician game, and I can't remember it, but I'm sure people who are listening, they may know. I don't know.
So wait, the game called Mortician. I think it's called The Mortician. It's a game.
It may be. It may
on Steam.
That's actually pretty accurate.
Yeah. So I
mean, not the ghost part, but the actual procedures.
Yeah, I actually started playing that game not that long ago. I'm only like a half hour or so into it, but yeah, I'm actually really intrigued. To actually get into this. So I know exactly
the whole,
what you're talking about.
Haunted element, maybe not, but the actual embalming thing, like the way they put the eye caps in, the way they do the needle injector in the mouth, or to close up the mouth, the way that was actually pretty accurate. I was impressed. I think my 10-year-old was playing that, or was like, "Hey, Mom, play this with me," and I was like, "I guess."
I don't want to play work. Video game.
Yeah, I usually just keep my opinions to myself. I never want to be that person, like, oh, no, this is terrible. What I do in my job, so I'm like, I usually just shut the hell up.
No, I've seen like videos of there was a ER show kind of thing that HBO just put out, and people were like, "Yeah, that's so real. This is real. This is fake. This, put it on YouTube or whatever, or like lawyers like about law shows or whatever." So,
have you heard?
Well, there isn't too many shows that depict a mortician like 6 feet under.
Yeah,
I couldn't keep interest in that. Really, I couldn't. I got bored with it. And great actors and stuff. I think it's the actor from Dexter.
Yeah.
But, I started watching it, but I lost interest. I know there's one, The Mortician. I think it's an HBO one.
We talked about this earlier.
I was just about to bring that up because I just stumbled upon it. Just because, I mean, it's so crazy because we're like, all right, cool. We got you scheduled in to do the show. And just a couple nights ago, I was just flipping through and I was like, well, yeah, I got to watch this now. And because it's like an episode by episode. And,
yeah, I have yet to watch it.
Okay. Yeah, I've only seen the first 2 episodes, but
we'll see, to be determined.
It's really fucking interesting. Yeah, absolutely.
You might have to text us back and let us know how.
Yeah, when you watch it, text it into us.
I'll be like, it's scale 1 to 10. Well, and it's crazy too because like every funeral home I've worked has been different from one another. So I don't want to ever say like, oh no, that's not how it is, because I'm like, shit, it may be like that in other places. Other places run things pretty differently.
Yeah.
So based on my experience, I mean, who's to say?
Yeah. No, this one's also it's like a documentary of, I think the guy's name's David Sconce, I think it is. And it's basically a story about his family having a funeral home, and they had an offsite crematory, and they're like, you can run the business of the cremations. And he basically, instead of doing, because from my understanding, it takes like 2 to 3 hours to do like a single body, and they only had 2 burners.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where he was throwing in 10, 15 bodies at like a time. So giving the ashes to,
Ew.
yeah. So they're interviewing people that have cremations from that funeral home. And it's like, my grandmother, I don't even know who's even in this box. There's could be 10 people, or, what's going on. So it's super fucking interesting.
Well, and there's naturally going to be slight commingling of cremains, just a little bit. I mean,
Sure.
The cremation retort it's like a cement box. I mean, a cement thing. So you can only scrape out cremated remains so much. There's always going to be minuscule particles that are, it's never like completely sterile. At least the ones I've worked in, a completely sterile metal one that you can clean and get all the ashes out of.
Right.
Those are the ones I've seen, at least. I don't know other high-tech ones. Maybe they do and completely incinerate. But the cremation job itself, it is messy. It is very ashy. It is very hot because you have to put them in, and then they don't really have a lot of high technology to put them in. You usually have them on a fiberboard container with a rigid bottom, and then you put 2 cardboard, like almost look like giant heavy-duty paper towel rollers on the bottom of them, and then you slide them on that way on these like paper towel bullshit things. And then sometimes when they're heavy and you don't put them in at a certain angle, they like to get stuck, and then you have to shove them in, and it's hot. And it's terrible.
Oh, man.
And I hated it. And then halfway through, you have to, like, stir up the body a little bit. So then they start charring, and then you really, like, you see the abdomen and, the skull, like, the skin starts to go. And then you really have, like, a lot of the skeleton. And then you kind of got to poke it around a little bit to help distribute it, and I guess to just poke it a little bit.
Yeah.
And to help it, to help it burn. So then you have to open it, and then it's hot as shit when you open it. And most of the retorts are in a garage in Texas, so it's 100 degrees outside. It's freaking 400 degrees when you open it in your face, and oh my gosh, it's terrible.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh no! Hold on. I feel like this keeps happening like every 6-7 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Well, at the high point too.
I know.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We're good.
Yeah. It's the
No,
worst when you're at a really good point. Like, fuck. But
no worries. Well, yeah, no. So then, it's 100 degrees outside. It's 400 degrees in there. You have to open it up, stir it up, and then at the end, you have to let it cool down a little bit. And depending on which place you work, sometimes they want you to, have a not long enough cool down time, and then put the next one in. And then if you're doing that, if you have a company that expects you to have more of a turnout with people you are cremating, and you have to put someone in sooner than you would like into the retort, you push them halfway in, they start incinerating, and you're still halfway in there too, pushing them in. And it is just, it's not great. And then as you're raking them out, you have to bring the ashes. So you're putting your arms right up to it, right? It's super hot. You have to wear gloves, but there's only so much you can do as it's burning your faces. Then you have to step away for a second.
Yeah.
Then go back and then do it in intervals so you don't burn your skin. You have to bring your ashes forward, put them in a bucket at the front, right? So you bring them all forward like this big rake, so to speak. Bring them forward, and then brush them forward, put them in a bucket, they drop to the bottom, and then you put on these big old gloves, and you take them to the pulverizer, which is kind of a cool name. And then they pretty much like a big old blender for bones. And a lot of times they're soft and crunchy anyway because they've got all the moisture taken out, they've been burned. So you crush them up with a metal detector, or crush them up with this little magnet, You're crushing up the bones, and then you put them in this big blender, and then they blend, and then you have ashes.
That's wild.
But it's messy, and it's very ashy.
Yeah, I can imagine so.
And then you're like getting it all over your face. You look like I've been looking like I'm working in the coal mine or something. It's absolutely terrible.
So one of the ultimate questions: what would you prefer to people do? Would you, in your professional opinion, like have a funeral or have cremation?
It really depends. You know, I personally don't have a preference one way or another what people do. Some people, they have different things they're trying to achieve. Some people want convenience for their family. They just, whatever's most financially convenient for you guys. You know, I don't want you to have to maintain my grave. I don't want you to have to pay for it, to have to visit me. I want you to be able to cremate me and spread my ashes and not worry about me. I don't want that burden to be on my family. The burden of upkeeping my grave, keeping my body. You know, who's going to take care of me whenever you die? Like, why keep my ashes? Why not spread me? You know, but or, you know, if they want something that's better for the environment, you know, green burial is a real popular thing. Water cremation is becoming more popular in certain states, and composting of bodies. It really just depends on what you're looking for, but cremation rate is going up a lot, especially because of the price. So a lot of funeral homes, they're having to shift. You know, the whole industry is changing. You know, a lot of people aren't wanting a full Catholic service. I mean, some of them still do, don't get me wrong, as we still have a generation that is religious. But as a lot of them are dying out, you know, it's different family values and traditions. And it's a shift in, you know, the families we're serving. So, I mean, I really don't have a preference. It's not really one way or another. It really just depends. Both can be enjoyable for the funeral home and the family. Just depending.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot more celebration lives instead of funerals are happening these days.
Yeah,
and then like even my parents were talking to me about, you know, their plans or whatever, and they said they want to get cremated, which I was super surprised. Like, my mom's Irish Catholic to the core, and I'm like, really? That's okay.
my mom too.
Yeah, just surprised that, like, oh, that's how you want to go. Okay.
Well, now that you know, the Catholics say you can cremate, because before they didn't like it at all. They wanted the body to remain whole after the resurrection.
Right.
But now they're saying, nah, God can do that. He can fix you if you've been burned. That's fine. You know, like, don't worry. You know. So it's becoming more socially acceptable for cremation for the super religious, just like birth control and a lot of other things. I don't know about this new pope and whatnot, but that's nothing to do with the price of bread right now. You know?
He's busting us with Chicago hot dogs.
And deep dish pizzas.
And more Lord.
Yeah, other than whenever he came, or not, whenever he got elected as pope, I haven't heard nothing about it. But with everything now, with the political temperature it is, you know, I don't know who has time for that at this point in time. You know?
I agree, yeah.
Yeah.
Did y'all go to any of No King's protests, though? Just to be off topic?
I didn't even know it was happening because I've been so far out of the loop of, like, paying attention to the news. I would have, but I've been sick and coming off vacation, so I'm, like, just trying to catch up on, like, regular life and then not paying attention. So that was my bad. But no, when I saw that happening, I was like, oh, I would have gone.
I was just curious. I know that I would have gone to. I was working. I was actually that's where I was when I was traveling. But no, I was just curious, as I know it's not really the reason why you brought me here today. But just curious because I know it was one of the most attended protests, I think, in America. There was a lot of people.
Yeah, I think we just looked it up recently. I think it was the second, or at least around there. I think the biggest was the Vietnam War.
The protest?
Yeah, the protest. Damn. I think that was the biggest, was the Vietnam War.
And what's funny is in D.C., where Trump was having this little parade or whatever, the Warped Tour was happening too.
I heard.
So all the punk rock kids are in one area.
Yeah. And it's just like, someone said if you're really punk rock, go fuck that whole parade up. Yeah.
Well, they didn't need anyone to, intervene. I don't know if you saw, but a lot of the military too, it was,
Yeah, they didn't want to be there.
They were marching very well. I'm like, that has to be pretty deliberate, them to fuck up marching, because they do that on week 1.
Yeah.
Like, they were pretty petty about it too. And like those tanks were squeaking, and it was like, well, it's like, I feel bad watching. Not that bad, but kind of bad. Like, people just watching,
Yeah.
But I have no preference, what people do. What I totally dig, though, if I could have more of, is green burial. But
what is green burial?
That advocate, like, where you don't even have to be in a casket, like in a shroud, in the ground, in what is just a green cemetery. But those prices are stupid expensive for a plot.
Oh,
like, to the point I've not seen anyone use a green burial or green cemetery because they also actually move some.
Yep. There we go. Hold on. It's always right there,
right.
too.
Yeah.
Oh, what an episode. Always. Hello.
Hey.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes. I think we should make this a drink game. Every time we lose you, have to take a drink when you're listening to this episode.
Yeah. Well, if I could do more of it, it would be green burials. But I think first and foremost, they're just so ungodly expensive. It is just not a very realistic thing for people to do.
Yeah, I've never heard of one before.
And most people who are very ashes to ashes, hippy dippy kind of, I just want to be in a shroud with the flowers. They're usually not the most. I'm not to say they're not, but they don't have $20,000 to spend on just a damn plot, at a cemetery. So they're not really achievable for the demographics who are probably wanting them as much,
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We've kind of come to our end here. Unfortunately, I feel like I could talk about this all night. Honestly, I feel like I keep thinking more questions over and over. The stuff that I didn't even get a chance to even ask. But thank you so much for coming on and tolerating our
technical
bullshit,
issues.
technical issues that we have going on here.
Yeah, no, it is no problem. And thank y'all for being so understanding with my schedule. I know we were scheduled for last week and I wasn't able to make it. And then it took me a couple minutes to get home. But I do appreciate y'all having me on and, kind of opening the eye and having an open discussion about death and some of the, some of the things that are involved with that. I mean, it's an interesting topic. And if I could have really one takeaway from it, it would be for people to have more discussions about it, to talk with their families about what they're wanting and to talk with their loved ones and kind of break that ice because it'll make it more uncomfortable for the inevitable. So why not talk about it now? Why not talk to Grandma about how she wants to be celebrated and remembered and shift it into a positive and, natural topic, that one that's not uncomfortable or shameful,
Oh yeah, because like I said, my parents were talking to me about how their plan, and I'm like, okay, it was a little disturbing at first. I'm like, are you okay? Like you're not telling me something, but like afterwards, like cool, I know exactly how you want to get what you want done, and we'll do whatever you want done.
And maybe people listening to this episode will kind of have that thing where they listen to it and they go, huh, yeah, maybe I should actually start looking into this. So might actually be.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, if you continue to treat it like it's a shameful or thing you don't want to talk about when the time comes, then it only leaves your loved one with that same feeling that's resonated. The one where they don't want to have to deal with it. It's an inconvenience or it's they just don't want to. And yeah, no one wants a loved one to die, but you can embrace it in a completely different light that is positive and encouraging and one that is, being appreciative of the life that you had with that person, instead of a loss, it is, being grateful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And if that's one takeaway I had, and that's what I enjoy to see with families and people that do celebrate. Yeah, it sucks, but depending on your beliefs of the afterlife, it's not the end. So it really just depends on that. Even atheist people or agnostic people, a lot of them still have great, meaningful humanitarian services that aren't just revolved around God or the Bible or, the resurrection day kind of thing,
Hell yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
This has been awesome.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I know y'all were closing up, so I just wanted to say that one last part.
I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, thank you again for coming on. And like I said, we usually get people that'll text into the show and stuff. If we get any texts, like I'll shoot them over to you. Yeah, and you can follow up with it, which is always really cool for, people listening in. So I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I am open to any text questions, comments, concerns, any like that. I mean, I use my phone. I always have it on me. I use it for work all the time. And I want to provide transparency and honesty from someone that has firsthand experience in the industry. I welcome questions and curiosity. I think it's wonderful.
That's awesome.
So please ask me anything and follow up with anything y'all need clarification on.
Wonderful. Thanks again. We'll be in touch soon.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye guys. Have a wonderful night.
You too. Bye. You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Yeah, sorry about that. The technical issues.
Yeah.
We'll have to figure that out off air. But yeah. But it was a fucking awesome episode.
It was really cool.
In between, yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff in there that I was like, oh shit, I never even thought about
I know.
this.
That's what added questions like,
yeah.
Hey, your head got cut off. Like, what, do you have hair?
Yeah.
Can you give me hair? When I don't care if I have a toupee.
Yeah.
I mean, my friends are gonna make fun of you for it anyway. So
yeah, might as well.
Yeah.
Unless it's like something weird like Uncle Fester and like the Addams Family movies.
It would be exactly that. Most people know me as a bald guy these days. So it's like, all right, yeah. If you had a weird, like what?
That weird like white like Bobby bowl cut wig.
The Frank thing that he wore for the art show in Sunny.
Oh yeah, kind of. Also a great one. Well, thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry you. Hopefully you made it all the way through.
Or like I said, make it a drinking game. Go back and listen to this episode.
Absolutely.
And keep drinking and tell your friends.
Yep. Thanks again for listening. I had a lot of fun.
Oh, I had a blast with this. This was like surprisingly like very educational and also with a good sense of humor with a lot of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like cut and dry. Because when you said mortician, I'm like thinking old white man. Originally I'm like, all right.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be real boring and dry.
It's gonna be boring as like a funeral.
Yeah. No, that was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
So guys, you know the drill. 440-363-0121. Nice. And then it's at Pizza Bagels Pod and all the social medias and listening platforms. Tell all your friends, tell your grandma. Let her know to listen to the show before she has to have her funeral arrangements.
Jesus.
Is that too dark?
Yeah. It's a dark episode. Semi-dark, yeah.
Yeah. She might enjoy some pizza bagels before she goes. So make sure you let her know. Show her how to subscribe.
To keep listening to page, just put it on repeat.
Yeah. And, set up this YouTube account for her and then make sure she subscribes.
Get all the episodes and then start all over again.
Yep.
Keep going and going.
Yeah. She's sitting there like knitting sweaters for the grandchildren and all that. She's got.
Oh, that Tony's so funny.
And handsome. So yeah, that's it, guys. 440-363-0121. Thanks again for listening and dealing with our chaos this episode.
Yeah. We'll get that all fixed next time.
We'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.